Let's get this right. Welcome back to another live lifts. Thumbs up on the video if the audio is on. Audio is on. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another live lifts. I have thoroughly warmed up and I'm up to 100 kilos on the bar. Building up. So welcome back to another live lifts. Today, this stream is sponsored by absolutely nobody. So if you want to sponsor the stream, you can. We're doing squats, heavy squats, and we're going to do a shoulder exercise, a long forgotten shoulder exercise. Particularly good for the shoulders if you have got some kind of injury. This shoulder exercise that I'll show you can be really beneficial, so stay tuned. As usual, did my warm-up off screen. Save time, save efficiency. Thumbs up on the video if the audio is good, please. Just so I know. I appreciate that. The audio should be popping, to be honest. Got the tunes on. It's a nice hot day, so I've been cautious not to overheat. Here we go. So we push the 130 now. Let's get going. Let's get some weights. Let's get some more weights. Couple of 15s. You're going to be drilling there? So I've got a microphone. Are you going to be drilling there? Oh. Let's get this over here. Let's get these 10s out of the way. Here we go. This clip. First working set. So you mentioned last time the importance of a good warm-up. So if you want to get the full benefit of the squat and exercise, you've got to make sure you're nice and loose. My hamstrings are switched on, or my glutes are switched on. Here we go. First working set. So we've built up to this very slowly, usually building up in increments of 20 kilos. So we go bar, 60, 100, 130, 120, 130. And sometimes an easier way to do that is think about the top weight that you want to achieve and then count backwards from that, and that will be your warm-up. So if your top weight is going to be, say, 140, your warm-up might be 120, warm-up might be 60, 100, 120, 140. So you'll go up in approximate increments of 20 kilos. Let's do another set. Here we go. Looking smooth, looking smooth. Woo. Feels a bit rough though. But I tell you what, since the last session when we did deadlifts, in that last video, I showed you that in the last video, this will help your deadlifts. I showed you the things that will help your deadlifts. And to be honest, remember what I said in that video about feeling completely recovered, and I do. So that's why we can lift consistently heavy every 48 hours or so. So the selection of exercises and the recovery mean you can go again and be effective. Okay. Let's get ready. A bit warm now. Got a light sweat on. Light sweat. Light sweat. Light sweat, heavy weight. Okay. It's about 2.5 minutes. So here we go. So if you want to improve your squat, and you want to improve your strength maximum, 1 rep maximum, you don't always have to actually do your 1 rep maximum to improve. Oftentimes your 1 rep max will not improve if you're just doing maximum all the time. So the importance is to train sub-maximally and be consistent with that. Be really consistent with that. Like twice a week. Be training sub-max twice a week. And then it comes down to the technical elements of that. This is your breathing, your engagement of your large global muscles, such as in your back, in your glutes, in your hamstrings, your quads, and your core, your abs. That's 3 minutes. Second set. So I feel recovered, but you can still feel a kind of little residue from the previous workout, but not enough to like be feeling really fatigued and painful. But you can feel a little bit of muscle. But you'll notice your strength will go up really, really quick. Okay, 3, 2. Yes. Yes. Thumbs up on the vid for the audio. Oh yeah. So, by hitting it twice a week, sub-max, you're going to be able to get more volume in. Whereas if you're doing 1 rep max, your recovery is going to be longer, and consistently hitting that is going to be really, really hard as well. And ultimately, you will get injured by doing that. And if you train sub-maximally and you're hitting consistent reps, consistent sets, twice a week, or every 5 to 10 days, your 1 rep max will still go up. It'll still progress. Light sweat, heavy weight. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for the thumbs up for the audio. Thumbs up for the audio. Oh yeah. That's what we need. Thank you very much. We are just a few moments away from another set. So how do you guys find training I see a lot of the young guys doing 1 rep maxes. How do you guys find your training? What's your recovery like? I'd love to hear from you. Talk about your problems as well. Talk about the limitations and difficulties you're having. Aches, pains and strains, injuries, and also difficulties in technique. I mean, the breathing is hard. The technique is hard. We spoke about the deadlift technique in the last video as well. We are doing good. Woo. Here we go. Clean streams. Light sweat, heavy weight. Next set, third set this. So now, if you've been watching consistently, you'll remember the third set is you're optimally warmed up now, you're fully charged. Engaged. So, by training consistently, like this, the biggest problem you're going to have with my style of training is you're going to need to keep buying bigger clothes. From one week to the next, I put on a different pair of shorts or a different t-shirt or whatever, and I'm like, ooh, that's tight. Even after a few sessions. Awesome. Lots more to come. This is just the basics of the program at the moment. Get all the basic compound, standard, classic exercises in. And then we always mix it up as well. There's lots of more fun strength exercises to do. There's such variety. That's the beauty of strength training, such variety. I've got a really interesting shoulder exercise for you today as well, so stay tuned. Next set coming up. Stretch the upper back out as well. Stretch out thoracic spine. And remember as well, we can decompress the spine between sets. And I might pop off the screen here, but you still see the principles. That just decompresses the spine. Beautiful. You'd have to do it till you're tired, just till you feel the spine just loosen up. Let the weight of your legs and your pelvis just pull through. Little hyperextension there. Activate the glutes. Then get down safely. Just to stretch through. Distraction. Distraction of the spine. Distraction of the spine, not destruction. Whew. Fourth set coming up. So remember guys, we will be starting the podcast as well, but no rush. I wanted to grow naturally and do everything in good time. I believe anything decent and high quality can't be rushed. And that's the same principle that I use in strength training as well, and all training. So I want to focus on doing really good live streams, really good scientific evidence, anatomy, principles of training and sports science. And then eventually move into the podcast and discuss research and discuss what's going on, why we do what we do. I think it's really nice to hear it from a doctor, from a medic. It's really nice to hear it from someone who's got experience as a physio and as a PT, and someone who's actually doing the exercise as well, who's natural. I think it's really nice to understand from that point of view. But I want it to be good quality, so there's no rush with the podcast. I think quality is always going to be the one that stands the test of time. So be worthwhile listening. Well worth your time invested to listen to the podcast when it launches. But we'll stick with the live streams for now. I'm enjoying them. And it's nice to be engaged with an audience. And if you're not watching this live, there's always catch up. You tune in, you flick through, you watch the whole session. You never know what you're going to miss. So remember, guys, this live stream is sponsored by absolutely nobody. So if you want to sponsor the live stream, you can. Next set. Fourth set. Yes. Well, beautiful. So coming up to the last set now. Fifth set. So this is the second time, it's the second stream that we've done where I've done 130 on the squat. So next session, when we do the squat, we'll increase the weight. And I'll talk about the principles why in the next live stream that we do squats. So if you want your squat performance and strength and the addition of more weight to increase, we'll talk about the principles why in the next squat live stream. Now, if you did want to sponsor the live stream, we can talk about your product and brand in the breaks. We have 2 3-minute breaks between sets, perfect time for a commercial. Talk about your the sponsored ad. So think about it. Okay, last set, 25 minutes in, beautiful. So yeah, exercise is going to be 20-25 minutes. Get through all the reps, all the sets, just working out nicely, including the rest period. Nice little community we're growing here. So, set. Almost 3 minutes. After doing those deadlifts, just feel my hamstrings nice and switched on. Nice. The legs will get very thick. So I'll do squats, shoulder exercise, and then I'm going to do another supplementary exercise, which will be for my calves. I'm going to work my calves. I'll do that off screen. There's no point, you know, you're just calf raises. You're not going to be missing much when I do calf raises. Last set, nice and smooth. Light sweat, still got a light sweat on. Light sweat, heavy weight. Light sweat, heavy weight. Beautiful. That's it, 5 sets. Yes. So that was absolutely delicious. Feels absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to decompress my spine. I will distract my spine before I move on to the next exercise. Put these away. Nice. Couple of tens. So I think we get a water break. So, beautiful. So moving on to the shoulder exercise. We'll do a couple of sets to warm up. So let's think, start off, shoulders start off nice and steady. So sometimes even though 5 kilos is enough, certainly the bar is enough. So let's just check where we are. Thumbs up on the video, guys, for the audio. Awesome. Position is nice. Here we go. So ideally you need somebody with you to help you with this exercise. We'll ask this nice gentleman stood behind me. Just a warm up. Get a couple of 5s ready. Here we go. Excuse me. Excuse me. Hiya. Do me a favour, could you help me? Yeah. Need to do, just lift this bar up for us. So what you're gonna do is just lift it up like, so no, watch. So just lift it up like that for me, and I'll step in. That's what you need to do, just so it's level. All right? Up. Awesome, thank you. That's it? Yeah. Ideally, you need somebody with you for the end, especially when there's some weight on, but we're all right there. So, nice little warm-up. Remember, the warm-up as well is about practicing the movement pattern. Put some weight on first. Load it up nicely. Beautiful. So I haven't done this exercise for a long time. I think maybe 2 or 3 years. So this exercise is, so if you want to work your shoulders differently, helpful also if you, perhaps you have a shoulder injury. Remember with the military press, it's all in front of you. in that one plane in front of the body, in front of the center of gravity. Remember, there's 3 heads to the shoulder. The anterior head, or deltoid, lateral head, and posterior, the main deltoid. There's 4 or 5 other small muscles inside the shoulder that help with stability and control in these movements, okay? But the deltoid is the one that does most of the abduction, forward flexion, horizontal flexion, and a little bit of extension. So if military press is difficult for you, and you're feeling shoulder pain, because you've got an impingement, which I spoke about in the other video, you might have an impingement, you might have some shoulder pain. Now remember, military press is a difficult exercise. You've got to get your face out the way. The bar is in front of you, it's pulling you forward, it's in front of your center of gravity. It's a fundamental and very important exercise. Do not neglect it. However, the shoulder position here, if we think about what we mentioned in the other video about our anatomy with the acromion process and the humeral head, we're in quite a closed position here as we press. So that can cause some pain sometimes. However, with this trap bar, if you have a trap bar, the beauty is as well, the handles on the trap bar dip low. What it does is it brings your arms out into this mid grip position, power grip. We actually open our shoulders out. So now you can see my shoulder is still pressing, still in a press position. But now I'm down by the sides. I've actually opened up my shoulder joint. So my entire shoulder joint now is in much more of a natural position. It feels much more natural to press from this position here, from the side, rather than out in front. I still do believe you should do military press. I still do both. But coming with this trap bar, coming in from this side, will help your shoulder pain open up, and it'll help hit the other heads of the deltoid as well, which I've mentioned, all 3 heads. And the reason why is because you've now got this externally rotated position, and now your medial head of deltoid is going to be more active, as well as the anterior head. The front and the outer head of the deltoid is going to be more active. But also you've got to balance this trap bar. It's going to be wobbling forwards and backwards. So your posterior deltoid as well will be activated to help control. So you're hitting all 3 heads of your deltoid doing this one. Whereas on the military press, you're mainly going to be mainly hitting upper pectoralis minor, pectoralis major as well a little bit, mainly pec minor and anterior head of deltoid. So it's a nice variation. We do need some help though, so we're going to get the showman to help us again, especially now we've got some weight on the bar. So that's a really nice variation. And it'll certainly make you stronger. We need to ask somebody. Excuse me. Help. What's your name?
Darren.
Darren. Good to meet you. My name's James. Just need some help with this exercise. It's quite difficult to get it up, you see, so yeah. So you always need somebody with you when you're doing this. So Darren, if you don't mind, I just need you, if you don't mind, just using 2 hands and just lift it up to there for me, and I'll step in. And then when I've finished, and then when I've got it, just step to the side if you don't mind. And then when I've finished, step in and help me bring it down. Sound. Good man. Let's go. Awesome. Perfect. Step to the side. Thank you very much, mate. Remember, lock knees, no bouncing, tight abs, tight glutes. Nice and deep. Look how much more stretch and depth you can get on the shoulder as well. These dipped handles. Good. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, mate. Fantastic. Nice one, mate. Thank you.
It's a tricky one to get into, isn't it?
Sorry, mate? It's just tricky to get into, but when you're in there, you're fine. Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Darren. I think we can load that up. We can definitely put some more on there. The shoulders, because you've now got all 3 heads of the deltoid working, you've got way more power. Whereas, remember, in the military press, you're mainly using your anterior deltoid, so there's a lot of load on the front of that shoulder. Beautiful. Feels so much more natural. With nice variation. Still hits the abs, still hits the lower back as well. Everything nice and engaged. Whew. So usually three or four sets, because remember we're going to be doing heavy bench press as well for our shoulders. Well, we'll hit our shoulders well, the heavy bench press. So again, it's about recovery, but ultimate performance. Make sure we're nice and recovered. Bit of chalk. Still got a light sweat on. What a beautiful day to get strong. Every day's a good day when it comes to strength training. Every day. Well, not every day because you need to recover, but every session. Every other day is a good day for strength training. I think we're ready for another set, don't you? Yes. More weight. Light sweat, heavy weight. Yeah. If you don't mind, when you've lifted up, can you step to the side?
Yeah.
Because it's going to record me.
Yeah,
And then I'll give you a shout to step back in, and then we'll hook it back on. Thank you very much, mate. What's your name, mate? Hugh. Luke. Thanks, Luke. Perfect, that, mate. Step in. 3, 2, 1. Yep. Perfect, mate. Absolutely perfect. Cheers, Luke. Woo. Thanks, mate. Awesome.
Nice one, mate.
So whether you're doing strength training, or if you're a bodybuilder, you know, bodybuilders, they love those big shoulders. It's all right. Another 2 minutes or so. Yeah, 2 minutes. So they love all the shoulder stuff, but they don't optimize all three heads of the deltoid. You know, they come in one day, they go, I'm doing shoulders, and on another day they go, I'm going to do posterior shoulders, which they mix out with back. But why not just hit the shoulders as a whole group? It works together as a group. I've got about another minute and a half, 2 minutes, and I'll do another set, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, Darren. And you can probably see when I'm pressing that, when I come down during the negative phase as well, you can probably see that it's wobbling like this. So there's a lot of control needed as well. So you're going to hit the big deltoid muscle all around, and then you're going to be asking some questions of your rotator cuff muscles as well. Infraspinatus, subscapularis, and then not so much supraspinatus, because supraspinatus is responsible for the first 20 to 30 degrees of shoulder abduction, kind of that movement down there, first 20, 30 degrees before the deltoid takes over. A little bit of the teres muscle as well. Trapezius, rhomboids, helping stabilize that scapula, allowing the scapula to sweep over the thoracic wall up into an abducted position. That's why it's so nice. It's such a natural pressing movement. Better than the military press, but both are equally as important. So this will certainly be a nice variation. And it's certainly going to help get rid of any shoulder pain. And not a lot of people do it either. Long forgotten exercise. Classic. Get that thickness as well, remember? We want that nice thickness in the shoulders. Let's do another set. Fantastic. So if you don't mind, when you've lifted it up, I'll take it, and then just step to the side, because it's going to be recording. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah, that's it. Pull up. Awesome. Thanks, mate. 3, 2, 1. Yep. Awesome. Cheers, mate. Awesome. 3 minutes. Thank you, mate. That's fantastic. Helpful people all around. Yeah, so if you see that as well in the gym, you know, it's nice to help people. Always be ready to help people wherever you are. I remember that. So my professor said at university, we were in surgery, general surgery lecture, and a very wise man, very smart guy. And he says, I can teach you a lot of things today about surgery. He said, I'll teach you this. Always be ready to help people wherever you are. It's a nice message for doctors, that. And it doesn't matter what it is, you know. Nothing's beneath you. Give everybody a leg up, you know. Should we throw on a bit more weight? More weight, light sweat, heavy weight. I reckon, do you know what? I reckon a 15 is going to feel smooth. Is 15 going to be good? Are we going to have a few in the tank? I think that's going to be nice. Nice and warmed up. Yeah. No shoulder issues at all. Nothing feeling tight, nothing feeling pinched. Looking after the sternoclavicular joint here. Very uncommon to get injured. Usually high-speed trauma, big chest trauma will disrupt this joint here. The manubrium and the clavicle, shoulder, collarbone as you may know it as. But particularly this joint is vulnerable. The acromioclavicular joint. This is much more of a vulnerable joint for the shoulder. So we need to look after, you see. So the types of shoulder pain, I'd like to hear from you. What type of shoulder pain do you have, if you do have any? How do you resolve that? Common causes, really. Recurrent impingement, recurrent damage. If you keep hitting this area, impinging it, closing it down, you're going to cause inflammation. Cause inflammation and bleeding. If you get inflammation and bleeding in there over a long period of time, what the body likes to do is tries to heal things. The issue is over a long time with repetitive use and repetitive injury. Little bits of calcium can build up. And sometimes we can see them on X-ray. Sometimes we can see them on ultrasound scan. And the issue is that once that calcium builds up, it becomes like a piece of grit, like a piece of stone or a piece of grit. And you'll constantly feel it nagging then. So whereas the body's trying to do you a favor and heal things, it can actually cause a bit of a pain, a bit of inconvenience in the long run, because you then got a big calcium deposit on the tendon usually, particularly the supraspinatus, not always. But it's very common. And you may need to get that, get operated on, get it scraped off, or you can have an injection to relieve the symptoms. Fine needling sometimes, but it's not all of these techniques are always effective, you see. Usually treated under ultrasound with an injection, but by taking care of your shoulders and looking after the space in your shoulder and looking after the anatomy, limiting inflammation, limiting damage to the shoulder, you can have healthy shoulders for the long term, which will allow you to train for longer. So your shoulders are very vulnerable, lower back is very vulnerable. So impingement is very, very common. And if you do have impingement, I reckon you speak to your local physio or your doctor or your GP. Let's do another set. Thanks, mate. Here we go. So this is a new weight. So this is a new weight. It's probably going to be quite heavy, so we should be okay. If there's any problem, I'll give you a shout, but same as last time will be great.
Right, yeah, so.
Thanks, mate. You're training hard, aren't you? Rugby? Yeah? Good. That's a great exercise. Are you ready? Yeah. I do that sometimes as well, yeah. Sleds is good. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, mate. I'm going to do one more set. Thanks, mate. So you can probably see there in that clip of the video that I was wobbling a little bit, That was want to go that way, want to go that way. So all my shoulder, as I mentioned at the start, the activation of all heads of the deltoid are well switched on. So again, making sure you're not going too heavy that falters your technique or risks anything injury-wise. Safety first, absolutely safety with all shoulder exercises. So you'll get that shoulder type impingement when you're doing a lot of, you're internally rotating your hands and you're doing a lot of these type dumbbell exercises. I personally prefer to open my shoulder up, come outwards like this. I think I've got more space in my shoulder and that feels a lot more natural. Some people like to, I've seen some bits where people turn their wrists in and stuff. I'm not convinced there's any benefit to that. I think you're locking your shoulder up there. I think that is a much more natural way. You get a lot more movement by having palms out, by being supinated, having your palms open. If I'm like this, my palms closed, I can't really come up very high. I can get to about there, can't I? So what's that, 90, 110 degrees? Whereas if my palms are open, I get right up to the top. So that tells us that that is the most open position for the shoulder. So I think doing our lateral raises with some element of external rotation on, you'll still hit that medial delt. But certainly turning inwards, anything like this, you're asking for impingement. And so we know this because how do we check for impingement? Well, if somebody's potentially got an impingement, we actually want to put them into this internal position here. So if you're doing this with your wrists in and you're pulling up, you're in an impinged position because we test for that by bringing you here, closing down that joint and pressing down on it. So that is the test we do to check for impingement. Whereas if you're lifting weights like this, you're moving into a position that we use for impingement. So by opening out, we get a lot of more movement there, a lot more natural, less likely to cause any inflammation, less likely to flare things up, and eventually, lead to damage and destruction of the area. We'll do another set. Got one more set. Awesome. This 15 is heavy. feel fully recovered. Ready? Yeah. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yep. Awesome. Yes. Thank you very much. Thanks, mate. Good luck with your fitness.
Thanks for the time.
Doing the right thing. Whew. See you soon, Darren. So, what we have here. So I'm going to break off now, guys. I'm going to go and do some supplementary work. Might work go and work some calves or some abs. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the thumbs up on the video. Always helps. Check the audio. Whew. Always tidy up. Good. So today we did some heavy squats, 130 again, 5 sets. And we did trap bar shoulder press. Up to 30 kilos. And the bar, I think this, yeah, that weighs about 20, so it's about 50 kilos on the trap bar press. I did 3 sets, 5-6 reps. And that's enough, so we should be recovered in time enough as well to then go into doing bench press. Next time we'll do some bench. Whew. Thanks for joining. Stay tuned for more live lifts, more strength work, education, research, and discussion of anatomy, physiology, some of our sports science as well. So I'm certainly looking at some articles to discuss as well with the biomechanics and the temperature and the recovery and periodization as well. What is the evidence and what is the justification for doing certain styles of strength work, working in certain patterns of macro cycles, mesocycles? Do they actually work? What's the actual evidence behind that? It's what we commonly use, but we'll have a look at a bit more detail in the actual evidence behind that as well. So thanks for joining. I'm going to do one more exercise off screen and through the other room, and we'll be back again in 48 hours. See you then.